Dear students, let us start our 58th lesson and topic is Sunrise Part 4. Today we will be discussing questions and poetic techniques used in this poem. The first stanza, the first line of the poem. The sun was descending like a cataract in the eye of the sky. So it's an example of simile because here the sun covered by clouds has been directly compared with cataract. It's a disease of the eye where it covers the pupil of the eye. So there a direct comparison has been made. So it's an example of simile. Next, the sun, seizing the opportunity, pushed the clouds away and crept out like a schoolboy, quickly entering. Again, the sun has been compared with a schoolboy. Direct comparison has been made. And what is the similarity? On what basis the sun has been compared with a schoolboy? The sun also comes late because we are told in the initial line of the poem the sun was descending, so it was noon time or afternoon time, so the sun came late. Similarly, it was behaving and it was pale, it was not having enough confidence or it was feeling lack of confidence. Similarly, like a school boy who comes late and then out of fear shrinks at the back of the class. So here the sun has been compared with this schoolboy who comes late. So it's a direct comparison. So it's an example of simile. Moving to next poetic device used in the poem. Here the sky, sorry, the schoolboy, like a schoolboy quickly entering and cowering at the back of the class to evade attention of angry schoolmaster. Here this angry schoolmaster, it refers to the sky. So it's a comparison that the sky has been compared with the schoolmaster because it is angry with the sun because the sun has left it alone. The sun has not appeared on time, so it's angry and it's the schoolmaster. And in fact, in the next line, in the coming lines, it starts rebuking the sun just like a schoolmaster. So the schoolmaster is, it's a comparison has been made between schoolmaster and the sky. So but the comparison is indirect comparison, so it's an example of metaphor. Then the next poetic device used in this poem is personification, washing it so that it began to look drenched and forlorn, that means lonely, and it was thundering in anger. So it here refers to the sky, and it has when it rains and rain is accompanied by lightning and thundering, but it has been described as if the sky was expressing. Thundering has been referred to as the expression of anger by the sky, and we know anger is an emotion related to usually human beings. And when some human emotions are being attributed to inanimate or non-living things, that poetic device is called as personification. So it is an example of personification because here human feeling has been attributed to or given to sky, and sky we know it's a non-living thing, so it's an example of personification. Next, seeing the light, the schoolmaster asked, "Where have you been all this while?" So again, the sky, and we know that here the schoolmaster is sky, and it is as if it is speaking to the sun. Where have you been all this while? Was your slate not clean, or did you not get enough to eat? Is this the time for the sun to rise? So again, it has been given qualities of human beings, so it is an example of personification. This is also an example of personification. Next, by now the sun was shining in all its splendor. It answered proudly, "What is the point of getting annoyed?" Again, we can say here the sun is speaking like a schoolboy, or the sun has been given the quality of speaking, the quality of human beings. So again, it's an example of personification. Another poetic device that has been used by the poetess in this poem is alliteration. Like the sun was constantly splashing against the sky. So here splashing and sky, that sound, initial consonant sound has been repeated. So it's an example of alliteration, and it adds music, as we know that alliteration adds music to the poem. Next, the sun seizing the opportunity. Again, sir sound sir and sir. It's again an example of alliteration. Pushed the clouds away and crept out. So clouds, k sound, crept, k sound. So k sound has been repeated, k sound has been repeated because here c is pronounced as k. Here also in this word c is pronounced as k. So it produces k sound, k sound. So it's an example of alliteration. Next, and covering at the back of the class. Cover, class, So initial consonant sound that gets repeated is k sound. So it's an example of alliteration. By now the sun was shining in all its splendor. Sun and splendor, sir and sir. Here the sound produced is sh sound. So it's not matching with this, but these two sound here in this word and in this word, initial consonant sound, it gets repeated, it is sir sound. So sun and splendor, so it's an example of alliteration. Next, there is no set time for the sun to rise. Set, sir sound, and sun, sir sound, to rise. It's again an example of alliteration. No doubt here in this example they are a little bit apart from each other, the two words, but still it adds music to the line. So it's also an example of alliteration. Then comes the next poetic device that is present in this poem, or that has been used by the poetess in this poem, that is extended metaphor. Earlier we have read about metaphor and we know that metaphor is an indirect comparison. But what is an extended metaphor? It is a metaphor that continues into the following line. That means that continues in the coming line. And it is developed at great length, occurring frequently in that it's used, that means it's often used, or throughout a work, it's present throughout a work. That's called as extended metaphor, when a comparison has been made in the poem frequently, or we can say it's present in a work from the start up to the end. That is called as extended metaphor when an indirect comparison has been made. For example, when we look at this poem, here we see that the sky, being the schoolmaster, is extended from the beginning to the end. Initially it's told that it is expressing anger, and then the sky, the sun wants to evade its attention, because it's expressing or it's behaving like an angry schoolmaster, and then it asks the sun the questions, why are you being late and all that. So the sky is extended as a schoolmaster from beginning to the end. So it's an example, we can say, of an extended metaphor. Or the sun, being the schoolboy, is extended to the end. Again we can say whether the sun has been compared like a schoolboy, and who initially feels a lack of confidence, but slowly or gradually it gains confidence, and then it answers proudly, and then to the questions of the angry schoolmaster or the sky, so it answers proudly. Again we can see that it has been compared from the to the schoolboy, the sun has been compared with the schoolboy from the beginning up to the end. So it's an example of extended metaphor. And in fact we can say the whole poem sunrise, it is, in fact we can say, and then sunrise, in fact if we look at that, it applies or it means in this poem as awakening or enlightenment or mental freedom. And whether that sun rises or sunrise, it happens in the first part of the day, or in this, as in this poem, it happens in the second part of the day, afternoon time, but it is extended from the beginning to the end. And even at the end we are told that whenever it rises, that is sunrise. So and in fact it refers to awakening or enlightenment, and it is extended to the end. So it's also an example of extended metaphor. So these are the various poetic devices that the poetess has used in this poem to express her opinions or to express her ideas in a more expressive and impressive way. So this is all for today, and in our next lesson we will discuss the questions of this poem. So have a nice time. Have a great day.